welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. This is the Toyota Gazoo Racing Season 3, race number 3, coming to you live from Batu Kawan, Penang. It's the 15th of February 2020, a beautiful Saturday, sunny skies, hot heat, and lots of good food, good races, and the smell of burnt rubber. I am Nick Harris. With me today is Victor Ang. We are your commentators for the Toyota Gazoo Racing Festival here in Penang.
That is exactly right. We're going to be seeing some of the highlights from the qualifying for the sporting class. We will be racing very soon in just a few moments. But I think of note here is definitely a comeback story here for Mirza Shami Mazad, who, if you remember right, he crashed out in round number 2 and actually lost a lot of points as a result. But he has come back in very strong fashion by pulling a last-minute fastest time to put himself all the way up into P1. He starts in the front row alongside Wonder Kid Hayden Haikal, and that's definitely going to be a huge showdown that we'll be witnessing in the few moments that we're going to be seeing the sporting class race right here in Batu Kawan, Penang.
It's been a beautiful time here. Great food, great atmosphere, great times here in Penang. I love this island up north, love the people here, and I'm glad to see so many Penangites here to watch so much action that is transpiring in the form of races, not just by the celebrities, but by professional and semi-professional races as well. We are done with the professional races right now, with Teguh Janleh walking away the victor in that race. We are going to move on toward the sporting class, and it is 16 cars on the track, Victor.
16 cars, that means 16 other drivers who are potentially an obstacle on the course. So the thing is, for a lot of these drivers, there's a lot of potential for incidents or action, and we definitely want to be able to show you guys every single minute of it, because the drivers are up on the grid and they will be going off in a few moments. The racetrack here is Batu Kawan Stadium, Penang, circuit length of 1.6 kilometers, 10 corners, and a longest straight of 256 meters. Definitely shorter than round 2, but that doesn't make the racing any less exciting or fast-paced.
Well, this is Mirza Shami Mazad from Alezo Motorsports, was able to be the spoiler for the side of Hayden Haikal in S&E Motorsports, was able to hold on towards the first position. However, it was before Mirza Shami Mazad was able to dethrone Hayden Haikal in the top spot. Looking to see how Hayden Haikal is going to bounce back from this. We are going to look towards Adam Khalid from Crestmax Motorsport right now in car number 28, position number 3. Very nice colorful helmet too, if I may add. In car number 77, position number 4, Kenneth Ko from Panglima City Racing Team is good to go and ready to burn some serious rubber. As we go into car number 55, Bradley Benedict Anthony from Dream Chaser right now in car number 55 in position number 5. Straight up next in car number 12 is going to be Haji Sultan with his fan.
A very smart choice there.
That's a man living in 2027.
He was well prepared.
He was well prepared.
Yeah.
He knew that. I mean, he couldn't take the heat, so he brought a little mini fan for him.
Yeah.
I don't think that's going to be good for his overall weight, though.
Well, Tom Go is in car number 33, and Wong Jing Ik, who is seen on screen right now for Haiwa Racing Team, is in car number 5. Then we got Vincent Ng in car number 68 for Team Focus Tetap. And he will be joining up with Shan Muganathan Amurugam with my favorite number car here. It's number 69. He's going to be starting in P10. Muhammad Ismail Idris will be right behind him for Super Evergreen Motorsports. And he's looking to at least try to make up some points here, because starting from the back grid, it's going to be a bit tough, especially when you consider you got so much traffic ahead of you. But joining him in that battle is going to be Clement Yo Ing Chai for Actually, he's an independent entry here, so he's taking car number 98 and starting in P12. Eddie Dunn, also an independent entry. Oh, sorry, he's from Saksama Motorsports. He's going to be in car number 71 on P13. Car number 93, Jackson Dunn. We're going to be seeing him first, apparently, so he's going to be starting in 15th on the grid. Then we got Hazik Zariel O, our newcomer for the series. He unfortunately will be starting from the back of the grid. And of course, we've got car number 98 again, Clement Yo. Okay, so I guess we're just going all over the grid right now.
Yep, we're just going all over the grid, getting to know all of our drivers here. As we are on the grid, it seems that we're almost ready to go for our pace lap, which I think is going to transpire in about a few more minutes. Now there's going to be a few announcements to be made for all of our drivers, just to make sure everyone follows the safety precautions and every standard operating procedure that is required for a race to go down as safely and without incident as possible.
Yeah, it's going to be checks from all the marshal stations here. These guys are going to be the first line of support here for the drivers should any incidents happen on track. So it's absolutely important to ensure that everyone's in their stations, everyone is ready to roll here, because certainly these drivers in the sporting class are definitely raring to go here. They want to fight it out to see who will be the fastest of them all in the sporting class. So we're still waiting for word from the race directors to see when we can get that pace lap underway. Still, announcements are coming out on track here, so looks like we may be having to wait a little bit before we actually get to the start of the race. But before we do that, I just want to let you guys know about the situation when it comes to the car's weights, because again, given that this is a spec series, all the drivers are running the same spec Toyota Vios, so the only differential is that they have to put on weight balances after the end of every round. So with the 3-minute mark coming out here, the safety car is going to be going out for its track inspection while the drivers just wait in their seats. So again, just to continue my point about the weight balances for these guys here. So Mirza Shami Mazan, who is currently in P1, he has 0 weight on his car. It means his car is at the regulation 1,100 kilograms, which is the standard for any cars that doesn't have any balances. So he definitely has a bit of an advantage, I would say, compared to Hayden Haikal, who has 20 kilograms added to his car. And what one might wonder, actually, like, what kind of lap times could we have been seeing from Hayden Haikal if he didn't have the extra 20 kilos on his car?
And that's the thing, I feel that Hayden Haikal could actually do a lot better than Mirza Shami Mazan during that qualifying round. However, it seems that the 6 laps that he did was enough, and Mirza Shami Mazan, despite the fact that he was not carrying any weight, was able to... I believe that he knew I just needed to just keep going, and sooner or later I will be able to steal that pole position behind. But stealing pole position away from Hayden Haikal and competing in a race and ending in first place are 2 different things than the qualifying rounds. So with 16 cars on the track, what is the biggest concern for a lot of the people in the middle of the pack?
Well, just going to be an incident at turn 1 from the front row, because like if that happens, it's going to be a chain reaction that will continue on until the back of the grid. So I think it's going to be it's going to be absolutely crucial that those guys in front don't end up crashing out very early on. Otherwise, everyone is going to have to stop, and we might have to see a red flag on this race. But I think as far as the rest of the racing goes here, I think for most of these guys, it's pretty much just stay the course. You know, if you can't make up positions, just hold your own, hold on to as many points as you can, because when it comes to race number 2, maybe you might be able to get some good gains there with the reverse order grid.
With the racing line being so tight and with 60 seconds on the clock before they start their pace round, I'm really concerned to see how some of these drivers are going to attack one another in terms of trying to go for the overtakes. Because as we saw in the Super Sporting Series, there were a lot of issues for a lot of these drivers in terms of trying to get that spacing right, trying to get that little bit of the opening, to look into that opening and trying to shut that door down.
Yeah.
So with the fact that this track is not exactly wide and it's not exactly the most, how to say, overtake friendly kind of track, what kind of techniques, what kind of special ways, it seems that the rev is going to be coming in,
yeah.
and what kind of
special tactics.
Special tactics that can be practiced by some of these races in such a tight track.
I mean, again, you just have to stay as close as you can to your opponent, especially the one in front of you, because if you don't, like, if your opponent in front makes a mistake, you're not going to be able to capitalize on it if you're not close enough. So I think what Boy Wong did in the Super Sporting class was pretty much the only thing he could do, which is basically stay as close as possible to Brendan Paul's back and just watch and see if he can find any gaps, any mistakes in his driving. But unfortunately, that didn't quite pan out. So here are the starting grid once again. Here, the front row is locked out here by Mirza Shami and Hayden Haikal from Alezo and S&D Motorsports respectively. Then we got row 2, which is Adam Khalid, Crestmac Motorsport, and Kenneth Koh from Bangla City Racing Team. Third row is going to be inhabited by Bradley Benedict Anthony from Dream Chasers and Haji Sultan, who is an independent entry.
And for the second row is going to be, for the fourth row, it's going to be Tom Go in car number 7, SND. Tama Motorsports in car number 33. In 8th spot is going to be Won Chin Egg from Heiwa Racing Team in position number 8. Position number 9 belongs to Vincent Ng from Focus, and position number 10 belongs to Shan Muganathan from Kashash Vina Motorsports. Muhammad Ismail Idris from Super Evergreen Motorsports will be occupying row number 6 at position number 11, whereas Eddie Tan from Saksama Motorsports will be holding on to position number 12. Moving on is going to be Taramimi Tahang at row 7, position 13 from the M7 Japan project team. Jackson Tan will be representing an independent, that means himself, and position number 14, whereas 15 and 16 will be occupied by Hazik Zairel from Karnani Racing Team and Clement Yo from Distinctive Model respectively.
Is Distinctive Model actually a team? I don't actually see it in the list here, so I wonder if
Yeah,
that's a typo
I
from
think
production.
I think some of our information that we have with us was not updated with some of the changes that were happening. We would like to apologize if there were any mistakes that wrong pronunciations especially. But enough about apologizing for mistakes, because there is one thing that is not going to be a mistake, and that is the race about to start with 22 laps. Ladies and gentlemen, it's about to be flag off. Are you ready?
I definitely am. The drivers certainly are. 22 laps here in race 1 for the sporting class. It's going to be a cracking start here. 5 seconds. Cart is up. They will be going in a few moments.
The revs have been coming. You hear the engine being warmed up, and it's like something. Here we go! 22 laps in the sporting class. This is race number 1. As we see Mirza Shami Mazan in the front with Hayden Haikal trailing not too far behind. This could be interesting as we do see a little bit of bumper-to-bumper action here, and it's going to be hectic all over the track here as we see so many vehicles, so many race cars on the track. As we see Hayden Haikal right now looking to pressure on the side of Mirza Shami Mazan. Not too far behind is going to be Adam Khalid as well as Kenneth Koh, going to be on the receiving end of pressure from the side of Bradley Benedict Anthony. The middle of the pack is so compact and so dense. One false underbrake and it could be a chain reaction of collisions that could put this race on standby.
Mirza Shami Mazan is still firmly on the lead, but doesn't quite pull away, unlike Dunkujan, so he's still going to be able to maintain his position for now. But Hayden Haikal definitely is in a really good position here to attack him for the lead. But however, Kenneth Koh has actually overtaken Adam Khalid and is currently sitting on the podium now, so huge kudos to him. He actually got a very good start right off the bat. We're seeing a little bit of a heat going on in the back line there. Can't quite make out what cars are those, but definitely there is going to be a huge shuffle there when it comes to the rest of the field. But Mirza Shami coming in first. It's going to be followed by Hayden Haikal and Kenneth Koh in P3, Adam Khalid in P4, Bradley Benedict making his way to P5, Haji Sultan in P6, Tom Go in P7, Wong Jing Ik in P8, Vincent Ng in P9, and Shan Muganathan Amugram in P10.
Well, we do see that there isn't that much changes here. The only changes that has been happening is for for Adam Khalid going down to his 4th position with Kenneth Cole overtaking him. We did see that Clement Yo In Chai was able to go up as well, with Eddie Tan falling down. The rest still maintain their same positions from the start, but we do see Mirza Shahmi Mazad, excuse me, is in a little bit of trouble here as Hayden Haikal looking towards pushing the pace. But we do see that there is a little bit of space here between positions, there is a huge space here between positions 1, 2, 3, and 4. And 5, 6, 7, and 8. So there's a little bit of mini battles here happening between certain positions here. But we do see that drivers from position 6 and 7 may have a little bit of problems catching up with the middle of with the top of the pack. So this is going to be very interesting to see how this is going to change the overall landscape of the grid positions for all the race positions for all these drivers.
So Mirza is still facing a lot of pressure here from Hayden Haikal. Hayden is keeping within 0.7 seconds of Mirza's car, and if he was an animal, he'll be having his fangs about halfway into Mirza Shami's carcass there, because the thing is, Hayden Haikal is not letting go of his opportunity to challenge Mirza Shami for the lead, so we can expect to see some furious battles up ahead for the rest of us here at home. But with 20 laps to go, it's still a long way for a lot of these drivers, and they just need to be able to hold their positions, hold their lines, and hold the defenses here in order to keep themselves in the points. And that's especially going to be true for Kenneth Cole, Adam Khalid, and Bradley Benedict. Kenneth, in fact, having overtaken Adam Khalid now, is in the best possible scenario for himself. Oh, but a bit of contact there for the back. Mirza Shami slowed down a little bit too hard there, perhaps in anticipation for the exit of that corner, and unfortunately has landed himself against the front bumper. Hayden Haikal, a bit of a gap now being formed between the two of them. Hopefully not too much damage though, as Hayden Haikal is still able to stay on his tail there, but the gap is now slowly but surely starting to widen now between Mirza Shami and Hayden Haikal. I hope there was not too much damage sustained there from that contact.
Hopefully Hayden Haikal will be able to continue on the pressure here, as you beautifully added an analogy of how like a lion is about to sink his teeth in. Look at that. That wasn't a bite, that was a chomp right there coming in from Hayden Haikal. The lion shows his fangs, and Mirza Shami Mazad was on the receiving end. Luckily for Mirza Shami, he maintained his composure and just decided to ride on with it. So no penalties, no announcements thus far, so we shall continue the race with 19 more laps to go. 3 laps are in the books. This is the Sporting Series here for race number 1 here at the Toyota Gazoo Racing Festival, coming to you live from Batu Kawan, Penang.
Well, the thing is that looking back at some of the footage of that little contact there, it seems like Mirza, when he was entering that corner, he actually had to brake a little bit because his car started to overturn a little bit, oversteer on the exit. So he had to react to that sudden change in his car's dynamics, and unfortunately that meant that he had to slow down. And the thing was that because Hayden Haikal was following so closely behind, because Mirza suddenly slowed down there, Hayden was not able to react in time, and that's why they got that contact. Fortunately for the two of them, it wasn't a severe kind of contact. It was a little bit of a tap, I would say, between the two of them. So maybe not so much a bite or a chomp, but more of like a little nibble, you know, from the side of Hayden Haikal onto Mirza Shami.
I don't know about you, but I don't want to ever get nibbled by a lion. That's for sure. A little bit of light-hearted jokes there between us commentators. But anyway, coming back into the race, let's update you. There have been no changes of position thus far. We still maintain Mirza Shami in first position, as well as Hayden Haikal, Adam Khalid, and Bradley Benedict holding on towards the top 5 slot. Haji Sultan, Tom Go, Wong Chin Egg, Vincent Ng, and Shan Muganathan Arumugan are going to be the ones that are going to be holding on towards the lower part of the grid. So this is going to be of the racetrack. So this is going to be very of the race positioning. So this is going to be very interesting to see how other members such as Ismail Idris, Tarmimi Taha, Clement Yo, Jackson Tan, Eddie Yan, and Haziq Zyrel O are going to make a splash here and show their relevance into the top 5 spot, trying to put in towards their positioning in the overall point system.
Well, Mirza Shami still facing a lot of pressure here from Hayden Haikal. The fact is that despite the little bit of contact, that has not let up any of the pressure that Hayden Haikal is going to put here. But no, a car slowing down. Is that Mirza Shami's car? Mirza Shami might have actually got himself out of the race yet again. The curse has struck twice. First time we saw this happen was in round 2, and now it looks like it might happen again in round 3. What exactly happened there? We need to see what happened with Mirza Shami's car.
We shall see the replay come up relatively soon, but update for each and every one of you guys. Mirza Shami may be out of the game as of right now, with Hayden Haikal trailing ahead with a beautiful lap time of 1 minute 16 seconds and 669th of a second. Oh my goodness, Mirza Shami Mazan, clear look of frustration in his face here. Gives the thumbs up for his safety, sure, but in terms of his disappointment, I think you can see in his face. I mean, he was doing really well in his position, and I don't know about you, but that is definitely disappointing. With such a beautiful and consistent amount of performance that was shown by Mirza Shami Mazan, was able to steal it away from Hayden Haikal, but by a sheer blind turn of events, Mirza Shami Mazan forced off the track.
It's a DNF for him for sure, and that was such a shame though, because again we're seeing the curse strike twice. We're trying to see if we can get some footage of the actual incident, but it seems like the cameras weren't quite on to Mirza at the moment, so unfortunately we're not able to show you guys any footage yet. We're just going to be waiting for production here to see if they can somehow find what exactly happened here to Mirza Shami, because what a devastating turn of events here for him. I mean, he was doing so well up until this point, you know, just nailing that P1 at the last moment in qualifying, and now only to have his entire race gone in an instant, just like that. But definitely that's going to be good news here for Hayden Haikal, and no less for Adam Khalid as well, because with Mirza out of the way, he's going to be bumped up to P3, while his compatriot Kenneth Cole will be in P2. So that's definitely a huge shakeup here that we're seeing right before our eyes. But with Hayden Haikal very comfortably in the lead, it's going to be up to Kenneth Cole or Adam Khalid to see if they will be able to take this battle for second place to even greater heights.
Well, for those of you who are watching the streams, whether it's on YouTube or Facebook, and of course for those of you in attendance, I believe that we do not, I think we do not have any replay footage, because the collision happened at one of the blind spots of the camera, of the track cameras. So we would like to apologize to each and every one of you guys in terms of not giving you guys the exact moment-to-moment action where Mirza Shami lost his first place position. However, we will make sure to keep each and every one of you guys updated, for as much as we know Mirza Shami is alright, he isn't injured, was able to walk away. Disappointed nonetheless, yes, but he is safe and sound. Can't say the same for his car though. Can't say the same for his vehicle. We would like to find out a little bit more as we get more information as the race progresses.
Yeah, and that's the thing though, because I was noticing up until before he retired that he was actually slowly starting to lose out in pace compared to Hayden Haikal. Hayden, in fact, had set the fastest time overall in this race just before that contact happened. So I kind of suspect that maybe there was already a bit of damage sustained during the initial contact, but it just didn't quite rear his head until he got into that turn, because turn 1 and 2 in this Batu Kawan Stadium is pretty hard, like two back-to-back turns. So I wouldn't be surprised if something got a little bit jostled loose in the suspension, and perhaps that contributed to his retirement there. But again, this is just speculation. I didn't quite see any visual damage on the outside of the car, so it's hard to say what exactly happened to Mirza Shami. But one thing's for sure, it's definitely a huge loss for his part, because he was doing so well, especially after the qualifying performance.
There were no visual indicators of smoke, no visual indicators of any sparks of any kind, or anything for that matter. And it seems that the problem has been basically glossed over, because there were no red flags, there was no safety car to come out, so it wasn't that entirely serious. But man, oh man, the efforts of Mirza Shami down the drain with one unfortunate unfortunate situation after another. We do not know for certain whether it was like some kind of internal problem that was bothering him before the race or leading up to the race, or was it because of the catalyst whereby Hayden Heikal added a little bit of a small little collision that could have, like how you said, jostled something loose.
Or there's even the possibility that maybe he might have contact between turn 1 and 2. He might have hit the concrete wall, and perhaps because it's a little bit off angle from the camera, he couldn't quite see that. But nevertheless, I mean, huge condolences there to Mirza Shami. I mean, we're just hoping to see him make a good comeback for race number 2 here. But as far as he's concerned, his race here is done.
And it seems to me that coming into the races here, the Penang track of Batu Kawan is a very hostile one. It has claimed two drivers thus far, two vehicles thus far, and it seems that it's going to be a continuing trend if this continues on. Hopefully, in a promotional series, we won't see similar things, or we won't even see any more serious damages coming up. But then again, considering how hostile this track is, how narrow it is, and how
few
opportunities there could open up a potential for some crazy collisions, but let us not hope for that, as we hope for a clean, smooth race for its entirety. With 13 laps to go, are there any glaring observations that you see thus far coming in to lap number 14?
I want to see what happens when they come across the line there, because Annika Lee was kind of close with Kenneth Cole, but it looks like the gap is slowly started to widen out here. So I guess like it's mostly going to be a battle for the midfield now. Tom Go, Wong Jing Yi, Vincent Ng, they're all within like 2 seconds off each other. I mean, from Tom Go to Vincent Ng, that is. So there definitely could be a shake-up potential there if one of them could just find a way to get past. And we do see Wong Jing Yi having a look on the inside there. Tom Go's car didn't quite find the space necessarily to get past him in turn number 3, but it's sticking very close coming to turn 4. So I mean, again, it's going to be mostly a three-way battle, I feel, for the midfield. But as far as the top 3 are concerned, it seems like they're going to be very set in their positions. Kenneth Cole in P2, Hayden Heikal in P1, and Adam Khalid in P3.
I'm looking forward to seeing how some of these drivers are going to be adapting towards changing conditions here. Not to say changing conditions, excuse me. Situations whereby overtaking is not exactly the most efficient way of attacking. So I would like to see some adaptability here and maybe some different type of techniques that could be practiced by some of these races. However, we do see that a lot of the races right now are playing it very conservatively, looking towards taking some really safe overtakes rather than take some risky plays, which I think are great. It's better to lose small than to lose everything in the grand scheme of things. So I do believe that what Hayden Heikal is doing is great, but if it wasn't for Mirza Shami Mazhad's unfortunate retirement, could Hayden Heikal have actually stolen away that first place? I'm not trying to take away the effort.
I mean, either way though, because Hayden Heikal finishing in P2 still means you're nabbing a lot of points, and that's going to count a lot for the championship, especially going into race number 4. Because here's the thing, rounds 1 to 3 are all simulated street races, as in they're all made of converted tracks, or as rather streets, actual public streets that have been converted into a racetrack. But Sepang is going to be a whole different animal.
It's a different ball game all on its own.
Exactly. So because track racing is going to be a very different condition for some of these drivers, so I think a lot of these guys are just looking to maximize their gains from rounds 1 to 3 in anticipation from the race in round 4, because that is going to be an absolute slugfest.
It is, and it is one of the more hostile tracks. It is one of the more hostile tracks in terms of how it's designed, in terms of the corners, in terms of some of the sharp S-turns, some of the sharp S-turns, S-curves. It's just insane.
But generally, you know, Sepang's track is very, very smooth. It's an actual proper Grand Prix circuit. So the thing is that why street racing is always considered a little bit harder compared to circuit racing is the unpredictability. You know, you never know what the condition of the track is going to be like. There's always a lot of little bumps, little nooks and crannies that you have to watch out for. And most of all, you know, there's no runoff area at all.
Exactly.
If you make a mistake, you're going to end up in a concrete barrier. That's just the way it is. But with Sepang, you know, it's much more wider. You know, it's one of the widest tracks actually in the Grand Prix calendar in the past. And plus, because it's got lots of long straights, so these maximum potential for a lot of these cars to get up to top speed. So average speeds are going to be faster. You know, the handling is going to be much smoother because of the condition of the track. So it's a very different ball game here when you compare to these street races. That's why these 3 rounds of street races are so important for these guys, because this is their opportunity to actually, you know, use their skills, their tenacity in order to gain those valuable points. Because once it comes to Sepang, it's a different ball game.
I mean, it is a different ball game, and when you look at it from this point of view, right? You have these guys who are mainly focused on the street racing side of it. It does add a little bit more ease in terms of when you transition onto the track, mainly because that with the adverse conditions that you've been racing on with simulated street races, and when you actually enter into a track, it's going to make it a little bit easier. However, with the technicalities of a track though, that's just like a different way to approach it, considering how Sepang does have a lot of very hard slowdowns into really slow turns, sharp slow turns.
I was going to say it's a little bit less concern for the semi-professional drivers here, because they likely will already have some form of experience, you know, driving on Sepang. You know, there's some drivers here who actually took part in the MCS. They also took part in the 1,000 kilometers of Sepang, so they would definitely be very familiar. I mean, if you are a racing driver in Malaysia, you definitely have at least taken to Sepang once. So the thing is that it's going to be those independent entries, those guys who don't really have road racing experience, that might find themselves struggling a little bit on that track, because it's a very different animal compared to these street races where things are very much close. You know, there's one mistake, everything's gone. You still have the potential to come back even if you run off the track. You just have to be able to navigate and not navigate, but rather be able to handle racing on that track in order to be able to do well. So the thing is that for these cars that mostly have been set up for street races, it's going to be interesting to see what the performance is going to be like for these Vios cars. But looks like a weather update here from the race director. Raindrops have been reported on the track. This was the unknown variable that I was worried about. You know, we talked about how this track is fairly, what do you call it, uninviting for a lot of these drivers here. Well, it's going to get even worse now, because if it starts getting wet here, oh boy, we're going to be seeing some slip and slides.
Oh, we're going to be seeing some slip and slides, that's for sure, especially, and it definitely is going to slow down the race a little bit, with drivers going to play it a little bit more conservatively, especially when it comes to some of the fewer S-turns and sharp turns that they have for corners 1 to 4 and 6, 7, and the S-turn as well. So that could actually slow down quite a bit of the action and could actually open up a few opportunities for people to try to fight it out. However, considering the slippery nature of the track, it's definitely a lot more dangerous if you want to be fighting it out directly here, considering how small the track is as well.
I'm going to be more concerned about standing water, you know, but that's if the rain actually continues to worsen here. So far, we're just only seeing raindrops, so they're only using the windshield wipers to just keep their view nice and clean, but it doesn't seem like the rain is going to be heavy enough to, it's not a torrential downpour, so hopefully there's not going to be much in terms of standing water to be worried about. What I'm more concerned is going to be mainly going to be turns 3 and 4, because there's a huge weight transition that the drivers have to do. They come in this sweeping right-hand turn and then immediately to a hard left, and we've seen a few drivers actually lose control coming down this section. It looks like it's getting rather wet down there. So
what kind of adjustments do you have to make, considering that there's a little bit of an overturn in that particular turning with if the conditions worsen? So what kind of adjustments do they have to make?
Okay, so for the thing is about the Toyota Vios, because it's a front engine, front wheel drive. So pretty much the direction you point your front wheels to is going to be the direction your car is going to go in. So a lot of strategies that these guys would do is basically keep that steering wheel somewhat like straight. You know, no, you're not overdoing the steering work there. You're just using the front wheels to sort of guide the whole of the car to go into the turn. So the thing is, why turns 3 and 4 is so difficult is because you have to constantly walk a tightrope, you know, because the thing is that you're shifting your weight from the left-hand side suddenly to the right-hand side, and an astute driver will actually do a very smooth transition. That means, you're not going hard and instant on the brakes. You're actually letting it off slowly. Just allow that weight to kind of like balance itself out before you start to go for the next turn. And that's when you also be a bit gentle on the throttle. You don't want to accelerate too hard too early, otherwise you get understeer. You're just going to accelerate just enough to break the traction, keep the car going in the direction you want to, and just clear that corner. So, I mean, in terms of driving skill, that is pretty much the fundamentals that a lot of these drivers have to be able to deal with, especially coming to a track like Batu Kawan here with such a turn here in the form of turns 3 and 4.
Well, with 6 laps to go, lap 16 16 laps have already been recorded in the books. We've got 6 laps to go. If you guys are wondering why some of the camera lenses are not as clear, mainly because that they got wet a little bit with a little bit of the raindrops that fell down. Luckily for us, it is a torrential rain, like how my co-commentator said, and we may be able to see still a little bit more action here. Hopefully not see such conservative driving, as all racers tend to get a little bit more conservative once the track conditions worsen or change at the blink of an eye. So we do see that is always a huge problem here, especially when you'll be especially when you're working on a circuit that isn't a track. It's a street track, so that could be very adverse. Like you said, there are a lot of imperfections on the asphalt, like little potholes, little stones that can actually throw you off balance, and those things compound the problem on the grand scheme of things. I mean, yeah, you won't feel it on laps number 1, laps number 2, laps number 3, but once you start losing a little bit of your focus, you miss out on these small details, and it could cost you the game.
Exactly. So right now, in terms of positioning, we are not seeing any major changes. There's still a ongoing 3-way battle now between Tom Goh, Wong Ching-ik, and Vincent Ng, and also a battle for second position. Kenneth Goh and Adam Khalid has still been absolutely going at it at each other throughout this entire race. With 5 laps to go here, it's going to be now or never, I think, for Adam Khalid if he wants to be able to regain his position. Sorry, not say regain, but to just get back in front of Kenneth Cole and take P2. But in the meantime, though, as far as championship points are concerned, I mean, as if this continues on as it does, it looks like Hayden Haikal will continue to extend his lead even further, because Haji Sultan, who is currently second in the championship, is only going to finish in P5 if this situation continues. So that's going to lose him out a lot of points when it comes to race number 1. Hopefully he'll be able to make it back when it comes to race 2, because it will be a reverse order grid for the top 6. But as far as the championship battle between Bradley Benedict, Tom Goh, and Wong Ching-ik, I mean, safe to say Bradley Benedict is definitely going to be coming out ahead here and finishing in P4. But for Tom Goh and Wong Ching-ik, it's going to be a battle to see who's going to be ending up in front, because whoever does is going to be able to break the tie of 28 points.
Well, as I've said beforehand, 4 laps to go. This is where all the money is in the bag, and the bag will end up in the river if something bad were to happen due to the lack of focus or some unpredictable factor that may happen. But judging from the trends that we've been seeing thus far, it seems that most of the fighting happens very early on in the early stages of the race, and after that it's all about maintaining.
Yeah, exactly.
So I feel like we may, for some people that may be uneventful, right? But for us, I feel like it's great, mainly because that we get to experience the technical capabilities of these drivers. We get to see firsthand their consistency as well as their everlasting improvement as a whole towards this entire Toyota Gazoo Racing Season 3, Race 3 here in Batu Kawan, Penang. As we do see right now, Adam Khalid, Bradley Benedict Anthony looking to fight it out, but it seems that it's going to be 3 more laps to go, a little 3 more laps to attempt to try to take it away from Kenneth Cole.
Yeah, the rain seems to be picking up quite a bit, but it's not enough to cause any standing water issues so far. But the track is definitely going to be a little bit damp here, so grip levels might be affected somewhat due to that. So I think for some of these drivers, they wouldn't want to try to push their luck too far. They most likely will try to take a safer line. You know, wet racing lines and dry racing lines are usually different, and that's because the drivers had to compensate for the lack of grip, especially through the braking zones. So the thing is that for a lot of these close battles here, this is going to be very very, very tight, very, very difficult, because now with the ever-changing conditions, you know, the terms of your battle between you and your opponent is going to slowly shift. Yeah, it's going to shift as the race comes to a close. With 2 laps to go now, I mean, the time is literally running out for some of these guys to make the move. If they want to do it, they have to do it now.
They have to do it now as 2 laps remain here. It's only a matter of time before the rain gets gradually worse, as we can see it already. Rain is getting a little bit worse here, as we do see a little bit of puddle, a little bit of splashes of water on the ground here. So this could be a huge problem for some of these drivers, especially when they want to be taking some of these corners. As you can see, Hayden Haikal already is slowing down by a tremendous margin here as the track gets wetter and wetter.
Yeah, I mean, another aspect of the danger as well is that, especially for the guys who are currently locked in the 3-way battle for P6, Tom Go, Wang Jing, and Vincent Ng, they're falling so closely to each other that one mistake there, especially from Tom Go's side, because he's leading that train of 3 cars, if he makes a mistake and Wang Jing gets into collision, Vincent Ng, if he's not careful, he might find himself taken out, even though he did not make a mistake at all in terms of its racing line. So this is why it's getting increasingly tense as the race is starting to come to a close. With still 2 laps to go, but with the track getting increasingly more damp, will their grip be able to still hang on though? That still remains to be seen.
Let's talk a little bit about time. So we do see that Mirza Shahmi Mazad has been able to score the best time overall with 1 minute 17 and 60 of a second, 0.60 of a second. So I still believe that Mirza Shahmi Mazad was doing really well. It was really unfortunate for him, but it seems that not too far behind, I think it's going to be Adam Khalid, second place in terms of timing, if I'm not mistaken. So I think it's pretty good thus far. The times are very competitive, and I believe that with the last lap done, almost done and dusted, it's only a matter of who maintains their position and who gets across that finish line safely. Look at that slide they're coming in from Hayden Haikal.
I mean, just look at the sky. It's just absolutely pouring right now. So it's fortunate enough that this is going to be the last lap. I wonder what race control is going to be saying about the condition track when it comes to our next race, because the promotional class will be coming up next. But let's not take away from the victory here. The absolute dominance being displayed by this very man here. Car number 81 from S&D Motorsports, sporting the black, white, and yellow. He's going to be coming around the final corner here. Give it up for Hayden Haikal, the winner of the sporting class race number 1.
And it seems that there was a little bit checkered flag there being waved off to Hayden Haikal. And we do see now that everyone is going to be flashing by. Hayden Haikal in first position. Kenneth Cole, Adam Khalid, Bradley Benedict Anthony will be the one that finishes off. We are waiting for Haji Ustad Mustafa Salihin, Tom Go, Wan Chin Egg, Vincent Ng,
Oh my goodness.
Shan Muganathan, Arumugan, Muhammad Ismail Idris is trailing not too far behind him. Tarmi Mitahang, Clement Yo Ing Chai, Jackson Tan, and Eddie Tan will be the last one through, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep, and Haziq Zariel
And
actually
Haziq Zyrel,
he got lapped actually towards the end there. I think he slowed down significantly when he realized that the rain is coming in very strongly. So he's going to be taking it safe. And look at that, Hayden Haikal just celebrating there, swinging his car left and right as he comes into the chicane. But definitely it's all elations here. I mean, Hayden Haikal, how could he have expected that Mirza would suddenly crash out? I mean, up until that point, he was chasing so hard up against Mirza. You know, like I said, I gave the analogy of an animal like sinking its fangs into his back. I mean, Hayden Haikal pretty much did that and held on until the end when Mirza finally gave up the ghost, and Hayden Haikal was able to take P1.
Well, it's beautifully done there coming in from Hayden Haikal. It seems that the lion that kept chasing and chasing and chasing ended up getting its prey at the end. But at what cost? At the cost of the vehicle of Mirza Shahmi Mazad. We do hope that Mirza Shahmi Mazad's vehicle was not severely damaged and is redeemable within the next 24 hours, because tomorrow is where we are hitting our final 3 races for tomorrow. However, these are the results for the sporting class in race number 1, Toyota Gazoo Racing Festival, round number 3, coming to you live from Stadium Batu Kawan, Penang. Break it down for us, Victor.
Yep, P1 being held by Hayden Haikal from S&D Motorsports. P2 held by Kenneth Cole from Panglima City Racing Team. Anna Khalid in P3 for Crestmax Motorsports. Bradley Benedict Anthony from Dream Chasers is in P4. P5 is held by Haji Sultan, an independent entry. Tom Go is in P6 for S&D Tama Motorsports. Wong Ching Ik for Haiwa Racing Team is in P7. Vincent Ng from Focus Tetap is going to be in P8. And Shan Muganathan from Kashashvina Motorsports is going to be in P9. Muhammad Ismail Idris in P10 for Super Evergreen Motorsport. Tamri Dahang is going to be in P11 for M7 Japan Project Team. Clement Yo, Jackson Tan, Eddie Tan, and Haziq Zariel O will round up the rest of the grid.
The young prodigy himself, Hayden Haikal. Young man with big smiles and big dreams there. Definitely enjoying himself. Getting in a little bit of the rainwater there. Very big smiles coming in from the young man. Definitely is enjoying his performance here, despite the fact that it was a crazy bit of a race there, but thankfully enough, it seemed pretty alright. And look at that, Kenneth Cole looks like he's knackered.
He's exhausted.
He looks so knackered. He looks so out of it, and hopefully he needs a drink. He needs a nice cold water and maybe like a French fry, a bucket of French fries or something. But Kenneth Cole definitely enjoying second place there with big smiles on his face, nothing but elation on his face. You can see it, and a little bit of relief too.
Oh, definitely, because like it was starting to get very, very wet there towards the end. So if they have continued on for maybe 5 or 15 minutes, we'll be seeing a lot of standing water on the track, and that is definitely not a racing situation that you want to be in. But certainly Adam Khalid, he stepped up for the challenge here. He got P3. He wished he could have gotten a little bit higher, but P3 is still not too bad. You still get a lot of points out of that, and it's really your mindset now is going to be focused on race number 2, just trying to make up some more points when it comes to that next race.
Well, Adam Khalid definitely is alright with the 3rd place, but not as happy. Could have scored higher. Highlights there coming in from our second last race of today before we call this day over in terms of the races. We still got tons of activities for you guys here, so make sure to check out all of the booths, all of the activities, and make sure to take as many pictures as you can, whether it's with your celebrities or whether it's with the car of your dreams. Make sure to push it out all on your social media with the relevant hashtags. So looking at the highlights there, this was before this was before a little bit of shallow rain came in. So as you can see, the speed at which everyone was driving it was relatively easy. There was a little bit of the fender bender that came in from the side of Hayden Haikal towards Mirza Shami Mazan. And it seems that it was somewhere around here where Mirza Shami Mazan, as you can see on the left side of the track there, already down for the count. Big thumbs up there coming in from Mirza. Medical right now, making sure he's okay. And thankfully enough, no further action was required from the medical staff onto Mirza Shami Mazan. But there's only so much the medical staff can do for a disappointed heart.
Indeed. But the rest of the race, though, was pretty much, I should say, uneventful. We didn't see much contact. We definitely see a lot of battles forming throughout the midfield, particularly for P6. There was a 3-way battle between Tom Go, Wong Ching Ik, and Vincent Ng, but it seemed like Tom Go ended up becoming the victor in that particular battle because he finished in P6, Wong Ching Ik in P7, and Vincent Ng in P8. And once the rain started pouring, though, that's when tension started to rise here, because for some of these guys, especially for Haziq Zariel, you can see he's getting lapped here towards the end. He had to slow down. We saw the overall pace of all the cars slow down, an average of a 120 or 119 for all the drivers here, when in the dry they could do a 116. So it's definitely a huge difference, in terms of their pace.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, sunny skies are gone. It's starting to lightly rain a little bit, but let it not deter you from coming down to Stadium Negeri Pulau Pinang. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Toyota Gazoo Racing Season 3, race number 3, coming to you live from Batu Kawan, Penang. If you are down, come on down and check out the action. It's totally free. We've got tons of activities, and who knows, you might be able to walk away with a prize. Anyway, for those of you at home, I'm